We are back for part 2 of this little mini video series all about answering your common legal questions all about starting a nonprofit. Once again, I am here with Richard BOBHOLZ of Law++. We are going to get into answering another set of questions, but don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. All right, so you're starting your nonprofit, you're getting all your information together for your 1023, and then you realize you got to put together a board of directors.
Yes.
So how many, this is one I get a lot actually, is how many board members do you have to have? And then kind of a follow-up to that I hear often, and I know you hear often too, is can an executive director or a founder, because there's a difference, be part of the board of directors? So if you could touch on that a little bit.
Sure, yes, I hear these all the time. So the IRS, for number of board members you need, is 3 non-related board members. And so what that actually means is not just familiar relationships. You can't be like myself, my wife, my kid, we're all on the board. That would count as 1. It also is business relationships. So you can't have your business partner, you can't have your employee sit on the board and have that be 3 people. That would still just count as 1.
Okay.
And so if you are related to your family and your employees, that's still all 1. And it's not disqualifying, it's just the IRS, you have to disclose them, and then the IRS isn't going to count that as your 3 people.
It raises a red flag.
Yes.
Why though? But why?
Good question. They chose 3 because it was a good number, I guess. It was the lowest one.
You can have more than 3, by the way.
Yeah,
you just have to have at least 3.
Yeah, you can absolutely have more than 3. I don't think there's an upper limit. That just gets into how well you can keep track of everyone. Because again, you're going to need that quorum of board members to make decisions. And in that case, you decide what quorum is, so it gives you some leeway. But they want to make sure that there's no inside dealing. They don't want you to be embezzling the money or making decisions that solely benefit you.
Right.
And that ties into the other question is, can the executive director serve on the board of directors? Technically, yes. So the executive director legally can be on the board, but the executive director cannot make any decisions. That they're going to have to abstain from every single vote that affects them personally. So their salary, whether or not they are on the board of directors at all, whether or not they're going to allocate more money for other staff. So it really creates a logistical hurdle to put the executive director on the board. Most small nonprofits start out with the executive director on the board. It's just how it goes, and that's not a problem. You have to disclose it, the IRS will see it. They'll be like, okay, what are you going to do to make sure there's no fraud? And if you explain that, you'll be able to get recognition. It's just easier if you get 3 board members and then an executive director.
Right, and you know, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but this presents the question, how do you know if you're like an executive director? What is an executive director?
Sure, yeah.
Does it mean you have to be paid? Can you be an unpaid executive director? What does it mean exactly?
Yeah, yes, you can be unpaid if you want. If the nonprofit has no money, obviously
Right.
they can't pay someone. But the executive director is the employee manager head of the organization. And so they are the president, the CEO, whatever you want to call them. They are the top official in the organization, and they answer directly to the board of directors. So the board of directors chooses that person, and then they give direction, give broad guidance to the executive director.
But not to be confused with a board president or board chair, because you could have a board chair
Yes.
and an executive director and they might not be the same person.
Yes, yeah, so legally speaking, I think they did a really bad job with the terms
Right.
and everything, because executive director has director in the name.
Right.
And then board officers have officer in their name, but officers are technically, if you just the word officers, are the executive director and other management of the company.
Right.
So that's an area that bothers me.
But you're making it transparent.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah, I know there's some confusion around that. You know, when I founded My organization, I thought of myself as an executive director even before I was full-time staff because I was doing a lot of stuff to run the organization, but technically I was on the board. But then the board kind of had to like kick me off the board so that they could hire me as a paid full-time executive director, so to avoid that conflict of interest.
Yeah.
That's the way we did it. There's some nuance around, how other organizations can do it, but I think you kind of cleared a lot of that up.
Yeah, and the way nonprofits kind of organically form over time, there's always going to be that point, be like, wait, am I a board member or what am I right now? And
Clear communication is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
To avoid some heartache too.
Yeah.
All right, so you got your nonprofit up and running, things are running smoothly. Year to year, what requirements do you have to maintain your nonprofit, and what happens if you don't fulfill those requirements year to year?
Sure. Your main requirement is taxes. So you got to file your 990 with the IRS every single year. You also have to have at least one board meeting, and you have to provide your donors with receipts. That's the main thing.
Just one board meeting?
At least one, yeah. You need to have your annual board meeting. I highly recommend having way more than that. Communication is very important in the nonprofit world. If you don't file your 990 each year, it's exactly like not filing your individual taxes. You don't want to be in hot water with the IRS.
You could lose your status.
You could lose your status,
Yeah.
and getting it back's a headache. It's doable, but you got to pay. You got to catch back up on any back taxes that are owed, and there's fines, penalties, new application fee, just depending upon how long it's been and how egregious the missed taxes were.
All right, so here's another interesting one. I thought once you became a nonprofit, you can just get donations from anywhere for any reason all the time, but nope, you have to do something to be able to get donations.
Yep, that's
Explain.
right. At least, so I'm licensed in the state of North Carolina. In North Carolina, and most states, if not all of them, they have a solicitation license that's going to be required of anyone who's out there soliciting. So that could be the organization as a whole, or if you have a independent contractor who's out soliciting, they also need a solicitation license.
Soliciting, that's just asking for money.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
Can I have a donation? If you have a button on your website,
Yeah.
that's soliciting,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
All right, next question. Can a nonprofit pay a fundraiser some percentage of the amount that they are raising?
Yes, although legally you can. It's not best practice to do that. That person is going to need, one, they need a solicitation license
Right.
themselves. And then two, you generally want them to be in line with the mission, not just the out there fundraising, and you're responsible for all of their actions at the same time.
Ooh.
So you don't want them out there hurting your brand or hurting your legal status
Yeah,
with
and
what they're doing.
I know the Association for Fundraising Professionals has some rules around this specifically, and it's like Richard says, you can legally do it, right? But it's kind of frowned upon ethically.
Yeah,
That's my understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know in the other video we talked about partnerships between nonprofits and for-profits, but can a nonprofit own a for-profit?
Absolutely. Depending upon how how it's set up, it might determine if there's actually going to be taxes on that. But nonprofits can always own shares of publicly traded companies. They're encouraged to invest any excess money prudently, but they can also own privately owned for-profit companies, especially if they're LLCs, because that's disregarded for tax purposes. So it just comes right back into the 501c3. It gets appropriately handled as though it were just the charity that was operating that business.
And then the business's revenue could support the nonprofit mission.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, this one's tough as a founder, but can you be forced out of your nonprofit? Can someone like steal your nonprofit from you?
Sure. I mean, it depends on what you mean by steal, obviously. So because you don't own it, the board of directors can replace you at any time. So whether or not you're a board of director member or the executive director or whatever your role is, the board of directors can replace you at any time.
It's hard.
It is. It's very hard, and it's something you created. It's
Right.
something you put a lot of effort into, but hopefully the board is doing their duty and doing what's best for that nonprofit, and you get to watch it in the next chapter of its life if you do get removed.
Absolutely. I've said this before, but I hope that the organization I started lives on past me. That would be something I'd be very proud of and excited to see. That is it for part 2. We would still love to hear what questions remain unanswered. Please feel free to share those in the comments below, and who knows, maybe Richard will stop by and answer some of your thoughts there. I really hope that you enjoyed this, that you learned something. As always, don't forget to check out my website, foundertofulltime.com, for some extra help on starting a nonprofit and some extra resources there for making a difference in the world. If you're on Facebook, don't forget to check out my group, Change the World or Bust. We've got lots of folks in there from all over the world having some great conversations about the ways that they are making a difference. So I hope that you can join us there too. I'm Amber Melanie Smith. Thank you again so much, and I hope to see you next time.